whenever their neighbors are telling them that there's a problem, they bring it to us. We try to get it resolved for them. Again, we record all of this information. We keep track of it so we can figure out who's doing their job and who's not doing their job. So Mark and I work together. He's the community organizer. He has been doing this kind of work for the city of Philadelphia for many, many years. He's really smart and he knows what he's doing, but I can't give him too much credit because then he might start walking me around. Most of what I learned from Denise, who I'm sure all of you know is a fiery activist. Sometimes I have to carry out her flames. So I'm lucky to have her on my side. We're going to be opening a neighborhood community action center. That's going to be at 12th Carpenter in the Hawthorne Recreation Center. And this is where we'll see everyone coming in. Instead of going to City Hall, they can come there, they can let us know what their issues are, and we can take care of it from there. We're trying to save people time, we're trying to make it easier for all of you, and we're trying to give Philadelphia what it deserves. I mean, you deserve your taxpayers, you deserve to get things resolved, you deserve to have nice neighborhoods, and that's what we're here for. Oh, yeah. So we're possibly opening another, well, we have how many? 7 so far?
8 so far.
So we're aiming to open one in each council district. So there will be one for you guys. The closest one will be in the River Wards. We're thinking about Seone, which is close by. We're going to get word on that soon if that's going to be a better location. So we'll keep you all posted. Okay. Mark, you want to explain about the needs assessment?
What she said. you probably heard by now. One of the promises that Mayor Parker made for her campaign was that she wanted Philadelphia to become the cleanest, safest big city in America with economic opportunity for all. One of the ways that she is going about doing that is by creating these action centers in each council district. As Jay mentioned, we are the manager and community organizer for District Council 1. One of the things you might see enhanced is cleaning in your communities. This administration has what's called the district-based residential cleaning operations. Every city council district has a cleaning crew that can be contacted that will come out and address issues related to cleaning specifically in your area. They are assigned to each district only. So there's dedicated cleaning schedules throughout the district. Whatever concerns that you may have, you can contact us and we will make sure that it's addressed and we follow through. How many of you have ever dialed 311, called 311, or put 311 issue in your computer? How many of you are still waiting on a response? Okay. What happens with us is we have a system whereby we can, if you have a ticket number from 311, you can give it to us and we'll follow it through to make sure we get a resolution and we'll get back to you to say this is the resolution. We'll follow it through because that's part of our responsibility to make sure that gets done. So the mayor's action centers are literally mini city halls in your own backyard. Any issue that you may have with a city department, you come to us, we address it. We have a system that goes straight to the mayor. One of the ways you go about identifying issues that are priorities for you is that needs assessment that some of you have already gracefully filled, and I appreciate it. Those of you who haven't received our needs assessment, it's real brief, it's anonymous. All we ask is your zip code, and we ask you to check off what your priority issues are so that the mayors can see, okay, this is what they're concerned about in this community. This is what they're concerned about in this community. This is what they're concerned about in this community. So those of you who fill those needs assessments out, I really appreciate it because it's in real time. You go back to the office, we insert this data into the system that the mayor's office has, and they literally read this stuff every day. Believe it or not, they literally read this stuff every day. And the action centers is who are charged with making sure that those issues are addressed. Because then we have a direct link to all city agencies. Now, when it comes to 311, the reason I asked about 311, because I have been putting stuff in 311 for years. I've been a community organizer for at least 30 years. And this is the first time I've seen an administration really look at how can we be better at making sure that the citizens who actually want an issue addressed in their neighborhood can get a resolution with it. We're the ones in charge of doing that. And so far, it's still a work in progress, but it's already successful. It could be as little as a pothole, graffiti, dumping, illegal dumping, abandoned bikes, abandoned cars. We are the agency, we are the department that makes that direct connection to the city department to get that resolution for you. Then also mention community advisory boards. We're gonna be looking for folks who can be the boots on the ground. Our community advisory board members are the ones who are there on a daily basis, engage their neighbors, engage the business people in their communities, in their business cards, who can say, hey, somebody keeps dumping illegally behind my business. I keep getting graffiti. There's a pothole that cars are swerving around to try to hit. Well, we're the agency, we're the department that's charged with getting that resolution. Because now, when a city department knows that somebody from the mayor's office is calling them, we get responses. And we've been getting very, very, very good responses in the issues that we've been reporting to these agencies. So on that back table, we have a flyer with our telephone number, Ben's number, my number, where you can contact us directly. And if you're interested in our community advisory board, you live in the first district, contact us before we leave. We give you more information. I don't know if there's anything else I need to. You have a question?
Yes, we have a question virtual. Sorry, I'm recording. It's a Zoom. Where are those assessments? Was asked by a community member.
The needs assessment
The forms,
forms?
Yeah.
well, if you want to get us their information, we can send them one online. if you
Okay.
fill it out.
Yep.
That would be my question. There's a digital form that we have, yes.
Okay.
So there is a digital form that can be accessed to do the needs assessment.
Great.
And
Great. I will do that. Lauren, I will follow up with you.
thanks for the question, Lauren. Any more questions? Yes, sir. Yes.
Let's say they had an issue about potholes, report it or say that they submitted a 3 months ago. What could they expect from there? What's that experience look like for them? They meet with somebody, or they give it to someone, somebody calls them.
They meet with us directly. You get that ticket number, DEA's 311, and it's called a CRM system. We go in the system and we follow it through till there's a resolution. And then we'll report back to Jen.
So I just want to add that each issue has an SLA. They have a service time that they give us to allow them to resolve the issue. So when that date pops up, that their time is up, we're on the phone. Why isn't this done? So we have to follow the time frame, but once that time frame is up, we're getting somebody on the phone or we're contacting somebody immediately and saying this was due, it's not done. And if we have had any issues like that, once we contact them, they usually resolve it right away.
And our entries are tracked daily by us, and then they're tracked above us to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing daily. So we have
It's a really good system.
Yeah, we have a morning check-in and an afternoon check-in. So that's daily. Yes, somebody had a question back here?
I just I work with Olivia to communicate to neighbors any links or updates from this meeting afterwards. So we were just asking if we can have a link to the needs assessment and share it with our followers for Fishtown Neighbors Association.
So if you contact us from the information on that list, we can send it to you right away.
Awesome, thank you.
Yes, sir.
So like, I guess a question, like, and I think maybe it's like not great for the 311 system, like recurring issues, like potholes, like, great, you build a pothole, pothole's done. Like, right, one of the things I know is like, there are certain like places, especially around like Grunge, where they're always putting their trash out, you know, the trash getting picked up, so it's resolved, then they get, you know, the next week, they're putting it out. 3, 4, 5 days early, you know, and so I think that's one of the things that I put stuff like that in 311, and it's a recurring problem, but might not necessarily like present itself.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because one of the questions that we are asked weekly is what are the recurring issues
Right.
that the residents report? And that's a great question, as a matter of fact, because we have to report.
Because the
on those
311
recurring-
system doesn't seem equipped to deal with like recurring things, and it's like an issue to be dealt with immediately, and then.
So the way 311 works is they receive all of these issues from everybody who's putting this in, okay? And then they send the issues to the proper department, and then they're done with it. And they are expecting the department to do what they're supposed to do, but there's no one there that's following it through.
Right.
So now we're taking it from the beginning to the resolution. So we know the whole trail, and we are following it like a hawk.
And then one last question, is this, you guys are for the first council,
Yeah.
right? So if you're a Fishtown in the fifth councilmatic, does it just change the email address or just call Denise or?
Yeah.
Just,
What
Trump and Gerard, they've been reported numerous times.
Yes.
They're good sweet, but they've been out there. The thing is that when you see citations for dumping or early trash, you don't see that like you do L&I violations online. The sweep is very familiar with that location and they give them citations all the time. I guess, it's like $75, $100, whatever the citation fees, the owner doesn't care, but it's a constant issue.
And I just want to add that now, when Mark was talking about clean and green, we have food sheets dedicated to each district. So we can send them, like if you call us and say, this big trash dump is here, we can put it in and they usually pick it up within like tonight or tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
I also love to add that I live at Front and Gerard and I'm often there cleaning. So if anyone else is ever there, I've yet to have anyone come help me clean Lee Street and the mess from McDonald's and the guy who dumps there because he has tenants above. So we can rely on 311 as much as possible, but we also, she knows she's in a she's in my sweep things. We also have the capability to do it ourselves when they're not doing it.
connect for the news? And young man here. Young man right here.
311 question. I probably call several times a year about issues. I've repeatedly asked supervisors over the years, if, when you provide a description of the issue, the 311 operator types a description of that issue, ostensibly goes to the department that is going to resolve it. But when you get an email, you provide an email address, and you're sent the summary or whatever, what the operator typed does not come back to you. So, and oftentimes what they typed, I found out later, did not match what I said. So if it's just a thing they have to check the box in Salesforce to make, so the emails have a verbatim text that the operator typed to the agency. The person who reports it, the customer, doesn't get to see what they typed.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a good idea?
Well, no, I understand what you're saying, but now if you go through us with the 311, we are the ones typing it in. You still won't see what it is. I mean, you can come on my computer, but I can't send that.
It could be included in the service request email that's sent to the customer calls it in.
Yeah, I understand.
That field could be included with that.
Yeah.
It would take no effort. They just have to click, okay, and not that personally, but just as a general thing that is there any reason why that information is not shared with the call?
Well, we're a department,
Okay.
we don't work with
That's a
311,
recommendation that can be
but we
made.
could, we could
And
share
I
that.
asked multiple supervisors over the years, can they do that as a systemic thing? And it goes nowhere. So who should I speak to about that?
I mean, we can revisit it, we'll find out.
I'm glad you said that, because the response that, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah,
When you get that response, it's a template.
it's just like
It's
2-3
a
hours.
template.
Well, however you put it in, it says service not needed. I'm like, but that's just like I don't know, like.
Great question.
Because you don't know what they've actually typed.
Yes, sir.
But I know what I type, so call me.
I'm sure you do a good job.
A frequent 311 user, one of the things I found, and maybe it's been corrected, if you're manually putting a 311 ticket in, like through your office or a councilman's office, you can't track it from the app. Whereas you actually have the number that you put in through the app, you can go back and type the tracking number in and see any progress that was updated, that maybe you didn't get the email on yet.
I'm
They
sorry,
also don't show up in the open data, when you pull that file as a ticket number that exists.
so you're saying when you put an entry in and you
If I
receive a
do it
ticket
on
number?
the app,
Uh-huh,
I can track it.
yeah,
But if I call someone else from a city agency and they put it in and they send me the number back, I can't go to the app and then type in, like, the part where you can track the progress.
okay.
It's like it doesn't exist.
Sir, call me.
And then I go to the data, it should show everything, and that number doesn't show
So
up.
you can only track it if it's on your app.
But when I
It's
put.
not on the app unless I put it
Oh,
in
okay,
myself.
right.
Because sometimes they're private and sometimes they're public. I wonder if they're putting.
Yeah.
Private.
Well, that doesn't help somebody who's wanting to track their own case ticket,
I hear you.
no matter how it's put in, so. And that might just be something IT has to fix. And I'm not sure which IT department.
So when you enter that, you don't have a choice to make it public or private on your side?
No,
On your
because,
end?
yeah, I think he means like if I called Councilman Young and made a complaint and then he put it in, maybe their staff isn't clicking the public thing and it's still private.
Our Salesforce 311s isn't public. So I think that's what you're.
Right,
so-
that's.
so
So they can't see what I'm putting in,
Yes.
right? So if I would give you a
I
number,
can't track it on my own once you put it in.
right, but you don't need to track it because I'm taking care of it.
Yeah, but some people in public like to be proactive and do the work.
Yeah, I
We do ourselves, but city workers do
Yeah.
more important things than, worry
Like
about the
living
neighbor.
front is Gerard.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess it's private.
don't mention very well you able to.
Denise mentioned privacy. I have to question that because a couple, 3 years ago, I put in a 311 call and attached a couple of pictures of the issue that from a vantage point that could only be seen from my backyard. And then the next door neighbor gave me hell about a week later for submitting that. And she told me that her husband was able to tell who submitted that 311 incident because they worked for the city, they were able to see what the pictures look like and what vantage point they were taken from. And I got reamed for that. I don't think that's okay. Who has access to this?
Yeah, but that's, we would need to talk to 311.
That's.
And I have done so.
And where do you go?
So, yeah, we'll look into that. But, you know. So this, I could look it up. If you give me your card, I'll send it to you. It was way back.
Yeah, that's fine, but you still have a ticket number.
Give me your info, I'll send it to you.
Should be addressed.
Yeah. I also went to the city's, Office of Inspector General, and I said, this city employee, I don't know what their name was, an employee, somehow apparently unauthorized, looked at this data and then used it in an improper manner, and that's not okay.
Yeah.
So how can I get your contact information?
It's on
What do you mean? It's on the flyer, but
the flyer that we get there?
Which one?
there's 2 telephone numbers. The first one is hers, is Jen's, the second one is mine.
Got it, thank you.
Mark, HARRULL.
And then the email address to our centers also.
Right.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Well, next we're gonna introduce company. Oh, we have a question?
Is it okay to share your contact information?
Absolutely.
Okay. We have a newsletter and we will be sharing a recap on social media, so if you use your form, you will be able to find it.
What's your name?
Marta.
Some of you live in the 5th council district?
Yeah.
This gentleman right here, Keith Down.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Keith Dow.
I'll be around to pick up there.
I'll be your 5th district community manager.
Speak up.
I'll be your 5th district community manager. Well, so what I'll do is I'll get the sound sheet. I'll make sure we'll get the copy of my flyer, what contact information. I have one question. What is your overall current issue?
What is what?
Your overall current issue?
Recurring issue.
Dog food,
Trash.
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 yeah, public trash cans.
People that are supposed to be getting paid to clean the corridors, that really aren't.
Driving on Gerard.
Well, I would also say high volume businesses that have trash cans outside, not emptying them after like nights out. I'll call Phil Moore.
Double parking on Frankfurt Avenue.
So,
Andrew,
And Gerard.
yes.
And U-turn.
Yeah.
well, excuse me, guys, I'm a little under the weather, but the reason I ask this question is because I want to make sure that we bring the basic. So that's why I think let's continue to go. Let's back to you guys. Meetings more productive, right?
We
So
have
that's why I
one-
asked the question. What other motions? Yes.
Well, it's just to add to that, but is there a way, and maybe you guys would broke this before, but on Gerard and Frankfurt, is there a time that we can set forth for delivery for? What's amazing about Fishtown are the multiple amenities, as much as people might be sad about some of them and happy about others, it does give us walkability, allows us to stay in our own neighborhood and have the amenities for our neighborhood. Fantastic. When they're blocking Frankfurt and Gerard because they're doing deliveries, and if you're causing an issue for people don't have any patience and try to go around them, is there something that we can, as a community, is there something to say, hey, if you're blocking traffic, you have to have 2 people in the car with you so somebody can help direct cars to come and go, or is there a time frame to stop blocking so many cars?
What could possibly happen is we can get the streets department come down and do a traffic study. If another town of Vegas is happening,
Yeah.
so we get a realistic look at what's going on. If there's any kind of traffic on that, they'll do it through the traffic.
And then that's when ordinances can come when they.
Which is simple.
Yes.
Then sand it down. Then the water company, this is new, but it's interesting for you. The water company came out, did some testing, now they're blaming the homeowner who lives there, and says, well, it's because of you. And he said, what about the other sinkhole? They said, we have no record of that sinkhole. That 15 by 20 sinkhole, they have no record. They get out, fix the sinkhole again. What's the rules to address the 1502, use Paul. I will say that improve that out quickly, maybe, if you want to fix the one that's high, and
Yeah.
do I know?
For the house, the homeowner.
We had a right there across the street on the Osborne.
So I'll be tuning in.
All right. So as an interest of time, I think we'll move on to the sanitation presentation. But we're gonna have Marta, who manages our social media. I know she had mentioned we're gonna make sure that you guys get the information for the community managers, so you can follow up if you have specific concerns for them. Just look out for that on just follow-up communications. So I'm gonna hand it over to Suzanne from the sanitation department, and she's gonna educate us about recycling.
This is my ghetto tripod.
So, hello, my name is Suzanne Greenwood. I am the city planner in the recycling office in sanitation. So I work on recycling programming and providing education to Philadelphia residents about recycling. So the first thing I like to ask people is how many of you in this room already recycle?
Is it being recycled though, or
Yeah.
just being
Yes,
picked up?
it is.
Leave it to lay it out.
There are a lot of people in here who already recycle, and that's great. Is there anyone here who doesn't recycle? No judgment. I am not going to judge you. I know plenty of people don't for whatever reason, but it's just good to know because then you can tell us why if you don't already recycle.
My building doesn't do like plastics or like bottles, they just throw it in with it.
They just do trash, yeah. And that, yeah, you're certainly not alone. It's legal, but you're not alone. So for those of you who do recycle, why do you recycle? What are your reasons?
We're hoping it's for the good.
We hope.
We hope the city is following through because it's good for our earth. It's good for earth to be here.
Right. Yes, it's good for the environment. Global warming is bad.
And I have a comment, like, I'm getting a recycling bucket to take care of my neighbor who is like really beat up. And the thing is, you can't get rid of your old one, you actually have to trash it.
No, they're recyclable.
Huh?
They're recyclable.
Just put the word, just put trash for recycle. Like, just put a note on it.
And I'm over at the recycle center on Richmond, or,
So residents I've spoken to have had success with just leaving a note that says like, this is recycling, take it with the recycling. Because a lot of times they won't take it just because they're like, oh,
Oh,
maybe you still
right.
need it. Like, they're not gonna take it unless it's really destroyed, or if you leave a note. So I've had people leave notes and they've had success
And
with
the
that.
big cycle center is there in, corporate,
Uh-huh.
you know, I'm over there all the time.
Yeah,
They have so many options for, you know, recycling.
yes,
It's not just trash,
yeah, and I'll be talking about that as well.
but like, they would like put that in there, it's like, okay. You have to throw it in.
Well, I would like to talk to their supervisor because that's not true. What were you gonna say?
I taught environmental science for 25 years, starting in 1986. I taught my kids about recycling. But here in Philadelphia, I'm sorry, this may be the only chance I have to say it. Those bins are part of the problem because they don't have lids.
You get a windy day and the whole city's recycled.
Yeah, yeah.
But even when they have lids, the lids do fall off or they
Oh,
get.
you can have a tie on, you can have a loop
That's
that
true,
holds.
but they get, the way they get tossed when you're done.
We bought our own recycling, that's the other problem, is they serve a household of one person. We bought our own recycling bin with a lid, and we've had that lid for 5 years, no problems. But, you know, it's a trash can size recycling bin. And part of the reason we need such a big one is that he goes down every week and picks up trash on the street and makes sure all the bottles and cans go in our recycling bin.
What a good guy. After public service.
But that's part of the bins without lids are part of the problem.
We did used to have a lot more lids available. Part of the problem is that, a couple years ago, the price of bins went up during the pandemic. Like, that is just true. Like, they went up 5 times what they originally were. So we had to buy less bins, and then we just bought way less lids so that we could keep meeting the demand for bins at the very least. So sometimes there are lids, sometimes you get lucky and you can get them. But they do fly off eventually, you know, it's not a quick job, or like they can't take their time dumping the recycling in. They don't have time to like walk it all the way back to your door and put it down. It's, you know, if we're in a city, recycling collection and trash collection is always gonna be a difficult job, and it's never gonna be perfect. But yeah, it's not the suburbs, you know, where they have mechanical things that can just dump it right in and you don't have to worry, but, and I'll talk more about the bins as well, but I just, you know, it's good to get a sense of why people recycle, because most people that I talk to do it because it's good for the environment, because they want their resources to go to the right place. You know, they want them to get recycled rather than go to landfill. And then we also just like to remind people that it is the law. You can get fined for it. It's not common, but it's just, it's been the law in Pennsylvania since 1988, and Philadelphia has had a recycling program for that long. So this is just our little infographic, or I guess mostly just info, on how long things take to decompose, because we want to remind you why we don't put things in the landfill. Landfills aren't even where it's going to naturally decompose. They're just going to be compressed and covered. I'm sure you could talk much more eloquently about this than I could, but landfills are not just a perfect place where we get to forget about those materials. They take a very long time to decompose. They don't properly decompose. They really just degrade. And they exist on our planet for a lot longer than we expect. Plastic bags, anywhere from 200 to 1,000 years. And that's why, you know, bring your own bag. Don't get a bag that's single use that's gonna take 1,000 years to decompose. Plastic bottles, 450 years. You know, these are all subjective on like exactly what kind of bottle it is exactly what kind of bag. And then aluminum cans, 200 to 500 years. The great thing about aluminum is it's infinitely recyclable. So that's like one of the materials that we really want people to put in their bins, like soda cans, cat food cans, soup cans. Those things are like really valuable for recycling. And then just to sort of emphasize making sure they go in the right place. And certainly this is not perfect. You know, people, when you put your recycling out on the curb and it ends up spilling out, you know, it's not your fault. You didn't intend for that to happen. You're not littering. You're not actively littering. But, you know, we want people who do litter more intentionally to think about why they're doing that. So about how we do recycling here, and it might not want to load because it's a big, there we go. I don't think this is, we normally show a video, but the internet on my computer is not great most of the time. But there is a video of our recycling facility on YouTube. It shows you how the recycling gets sorted. I will say that this past fall, a whole new facility opened up. So this video is actually not exactly correct anymore because now it's at a new facility, which I would love to have that video, but we don't have it yet. It's a much more high-tech facility, the new one. It's bigger, it has way more capacity, and it's using a lot more like artificial intelligence to sort things and a lot more like different, they use light scanners to see like what color things are and the thickness of them. It's like a really complex process. They do tours sometimes, so a lot of people have wanted to go to those. It's a very loud and very dusty facility, but it's really, really cool to see how things get expertly sorted by these conveyor belts and things.
Where is it?
It's on Bly Avenue. It's in Philadelphia. So all of our materials are sorted in Philadelphia, baled, and then shipped out to whomever purchases them. So these are our bales. These are not our bales, but these are some stock photos of bales. It's figuring it out. But yeah, the bales are huge. They're very large, very heavy, and they all get stacked onto container trucks and shipped out. And that's our recycling. The municipal residential collections are around 80,000, 85,000 tons per year. And that's just what the city collects. There's also a lot of private companies operating in Philadelphia who recycle at like apartment buildings and commercial businesses that don't qualify for city recycling. So that's not the total amount of recycling going on. And it's certainly not like the total amount of all that could be recycled. But it's what we are currently doing with what people are setting out and what people are setting out that is clean. If your recycling is not clean, then it does not get turned into things like this. A lot of also something that you might interact with more often than these like, cheaper plastic materials or like, fashion items are carpets in industrial settings and workplaces.
Wait, my toothbrush is recycled?
It could be. Okay. Yeah, a lot of them will have like 100% recycled or like 50% recycled. It is a good like marketing thing. People like, especially more environmentally minded people like to buy the thing that is partially made of recycled plastics, but it's still clean. And then, aluminum, like I said before, can be recycled many, many times, which is excellent. So this is a photo at our old facility, old as in we stopped using it full time in November. We still have a similar machine in the new one. This is called a disc screener. The material comes off of a conveyor belt here, and then these discs are turning, and basically the lighter things get shot upwards. It's like a hill of spinning discs, and then, the things that need to go down the hill do, and the things that fall through are usually like paper. I think it's paper. And a problem that often this machine encounters is coat hangers, electrical cords, plastic bags. These things all get caught in this and cause it to break, essentially. The facility was experiencing 2 to 3 hours a day of downtime because we have to shut the entire plant down, lower people onto it, and then they have to sit in there and manually cut all of this material out. So that is why we do not take plastic bags. That is something that we have been trying to convey for a while because we stopped taking them, I think it's been longer than since 2018, but 2018 is when we really dropped the hammer and said, no more plastic bags. So don't put plastic bags out. It doesn't matter what color they are. They're not recyclable at our facility because of this machine. The
Coat hangers, like plastic coat hangers, should not be recycled?
Yeah. Coat hangers, I think aluminum ones are more dangerous for this, but plastic coat hangers aren't recyclable unless No, they're not recyclable because of the shape. They're gonna get caught. Yeah. They also generally don't say what type of plastic they are on them, and we only accept 215 inside the little chasing arrows, 215 and the 215. And so we can't take like miscellaneous plastics essentially. So something else that people like to put in recycling because they think this can be recycled, why don't I put it curbside? Electronics. Electronics are recyclable. In fact, they should be recycled and you really should not put them in the trash ever. But they should not go in the recycling truck either because they will get wet, they will cause a fire, and then the entire load of recycling will burn down. This was our facility a couple years ago, after an iPad. It was either a tablet or a laptop that was, it ignited because it's a lithium battery and it got wet and so it combusted. We lost the entire warehouse full of recycling. Luckily, it was in the warehouse and not anywhere on the line where like there are people actively working, and it was overnight, so there wasn't anyone on the tipping floor when that happened. And that is a photo of the burn as it was active. So for those things, for electronics, we want people to bring those to our sanitation convenience centers. You mentioned the one up in Port Richmond, that is 3901 North Delaware Avenue.
We have several bins of all kinds of categories, including the tube lights.
Yeah, so all of our sanitation convenience centers take all sorts of items that you can't recycle curbside. Even they will take your extra curbside recycling if for what, like maybe you were just moving and you have 1 million boxes, bring them to the convenience center and they can get properly recycled. But it's great for things like e-waste. And then another thing is like oxygen tanks. You cannot bring those to the convenience centers, but you can bring those to the hazardous waste events. And I do actually have a list. I did bring our 2025 list of those because they're useful and we have an agreement with the neighboring counties. So any resident of those 5 counties can go. So a pizza box, which one of these do you think can go in the recycling?
The one without the cheese.
The one with no residue.
But did you know the tops, if you don't get any cheese on the top, you can take the top off?
Yeah, you can.
The top.
You can, exactly. So we do not want your greasy pizza box. We want a clean one. If the top is not really that greasy, we can take it, just rip it off. So these are the household hazardous waste events. These are the ones you can bring, like, there's a full list on the back of things you can bring, but I will have these up here.
The electronics thing, that also goes for like small batteries, correct?
Small battery, like your single-use batteries, non-rechargeable batteries, we can also take those at our convenience centers. Just make sure you say these are not like lithium-ion batteries in case they're collecting them separately. It kind of depends on the site. But yeah, like even your rechargeable batteries, phones, peripherals for electronics like headphones and cables, those can all be brought to our convenience centers. So this is no plastic bags. I cannot say it enough. And every time nobody said it to me yet today, but maybe somebody's thinking it. Even the blue bags? No, not the blue bags. None of them. Absolutely not. So to recycle right, you just need to know our categories. I have recycling guides, and there will be a recycling guide if you take a bin home today already in it for you. So we have these 6 main categories. Your plastic bottles, like I said, 215 and the 215. Mixed paper, newspaper, junk mail, even with the little plastic screen, that's fine. That's acceptable contamination. We can take that. Just don't even open those credit card offers. Just throw them right in that.
I was ripping them off.
No need. Just put them right in. Flattened cardboard. You know, if you get a TV, take that styrofoam casing out before you recycle the box and flatten it, because the crews don't know when they see a full box like that. They don't know if you've left the styrofoam in it, so they might just collect it as trash. They're not like opening and looking through things like that. Yeah. So flatten the boxes so they know there's nothing sneaky hiding in there. Cartons, your soup cartons, milk cartons, juice cartons, that carton.
It's got like a metal liner inside.
Yes.
Is that still okay?
That is okay, yeah.
What about the lid?
Empty.
Not even rinse it out. You're gonna clean it.
And we're not gonna clean
Not
it.
clean it out, but it goes through the thingy box, like it goes through.
No, rinse it, you gotta rinse it.
So we don't say rinsed anymore. We just say empty and dry.
Because it goes through a facility, it's not like you guys just drop it in, but they eat it or whatever, like it's
Well-
processed.
Well, once they're sorted,
Yeah.
probably,
Yeah.
yeah, but we're not doing, like,
No,
on
I
ours,
understand.
yeah,
I understand.
but
But it's processed.
yeah, you don't need to clean it yourself. Like I've talked to residents who are like, well, I hand wash everything and then I dry it on the drying rack. I put it through my dishwasher. Like, it's okay. It's okay. Leave them on. You can just put them right back on. It's fine. Yeah. Mhm.
Oh, shoot, look at that.
Totally. Empty. Empty. Yeah.
Wow.
So is it different? Is that okay?
We say like spatula clean, like if you can't get any more out, like I feel like the hardest thing is like peanut butter. Because that's what we're all thinking about. The most I do with that is I'll like shake it with hot water and soap. Just because, it's really impossible to get all the peanut butter out. But like, unless you have a dog. A dog will happily fix that.
I've seen that. I've seen those.
So I read an article once that if it's small enough to fit in the palm of your hand, you shouldn't recycle it. For example, a prescription bottle or medicine bottle or packaging from. Because again, and it may have been in another city where they have different, different machinery. So I want to know, what about us?
So
no.
for us, what I do know that paper, the smallest piece of paper that you put in there that can get recycled is a Post-it note. Anything else will slip through and not make it to the right place. For plastics, we do accept things like pill bottles and whatever other small items. And we also take the lids. For things like glass items where the lid comes off through the recycling process, it gets sorted to where it's meant to go. Those are usually metal lids. And so they get to where they're going. The plastic lids, we say leave them on because it's more likely that they'll make it to the plastics recycler that way versus going through and maybe ending up in the glass as contamination. Yeah, we do take pill bottles and things like that. I think a pill bottle, if it's like all together and like closed, it's not too small to drop through our machinery. I have not seen a pill bottle in our glass before. I have only seen bottle caps and like small pieces of plastic.
A few years ago, when I think Carlton Williams was the head of the Center K, I believe I heard him say on the radio then that only 14% of the plastics that were put into our single stream were recycled. I know there's a lot of different kinds of plastics that most of them you can't even recycle. Is that still an accurate number to your knowledge?
No, so I know Carlton Williams has said that 14% of Philadelphia's recycling, or 14% is the percentage of the Philadelphia's waste stream that is recycled.
Oh, maybe I'm inferred.
Yeah,
Not the plastics, but
but all of Philadelphia's waste stream. So that's including everything that people put out. And so that is not like a large share of it, but it's not a share of just the recycling. It's a share of everything. So there's a lot more trash that people put out. And we don't have 100% participation rate for sure. But it's not that bleak. What we put out that does get recycled is more like 80%. That is clean and good to go.
And the second part of my question is, I would assume that there's some federal funding that maybe filters through the state, to the city to do this kind of work.
Mhm.
Is there concern and or a contingency plan if that stream of funding were to be slashed, cut, whatever, as things are happening?
So we are funded through the state. We do get a good amount of grant money from the state.
Which probably comes some of it from the feds.
So not to my knowledge.
Really?
Yeah, I actually have been thinking about that a lot lately as
Yeah.
well. Because that is my role in the office. I apply for the state grants, or at least two of the major ones that we get. And you're welcome. But I have not heard anything. They've told us to apply. They've told us everything's good. And so it looks good to me. We haven't been told not to expect it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So our overall message is take a minute before you bin it. That's sort of the motto that we want in your head, so that when you're throwing something away in your house, when you're out, look at it. Is it recyclable? Yes or no? Put it in the right bin. I know it's harder when you're outside of the home and you don't actually know if the place that you're at, if they're actually recycling. But when you're at home, at least you know you can put it in the right spot. And then, when in doubt, keep it out. If you're ever unsure, if it's like, ooh, is this like too dirty? Is this too torn? Whatever. Maybe just don't put it in, because we're dealing with a lot of contamination. It's not like huge. It's commensurate with other cities of our size. We're doing pretty well on that front, but we don't want extra contamination. So when in doubt, keep it out.
Are you saying paper coffee cups are not recyclable?
I am saying paper coffee cups are not recyclable. They are not just paper. They have a plastic liner in the middle that prevents it from leaking. That's why when you put your beverage in it, it doesn't come out. It's got a plastic or whatever material liner in there. They're not recyclable. Usually what is the outside called? The sleeve, yes. Those are recyclable, and sometimes the lids are, if they're 2, 1, or 5, but a lot of times it's 6. Yeah, no paper coffee cups. They are not recyclable, and no iced coffee cups with ice still in it. Ice is not recyclable. Yes. Yeah.
How about, cardboard or paper that's sitting out and they're delayed in coming, then it rains?
That's a tough one.
Recycled?
So sometimes if it's like been really raining, the trash truck will just take it because they know that it's going to be soiled. But a lot of times the recycling truck will just take it. If it gets to the tipping floor where all of the recycling is dumped out and it's too wet still at that point, then it's gonna go to trash. Usually that doesn't happen that often. Like sometimes if we get a really rainy season, we get like a slight uptick in our contamination percentage, but it hasn't been as much of a factor as it might seem. Any other questions about recycling? I know Denise went through the trouble of gathering some props for us, so I'll at least pull those out for you. This is a tissue box.
Not the plastic.
You can put the whole thing in. Well, now if you can keep the envelope liner, yeah.
Not even if it's used.
The plastic lid on containers, but plastic lid on like paper part and take it off, or.
You can leave it on. We always just say just leave the lid on, just because it's like it's not really worth remembering like, oh, different little rules. We want to make it simple, and so it's just keep the lid on. If it does end up that like that's not recycled at the end route that it ends up, then it won't be. But it's an okay level of contamination. It's certainly an acceptable level. And it's acceptable to us to just give the blanket statement, keep the lid on.
Is there any reason to why the trash then pick it up, the recycling? The past 2 Fridays in my neighborhood,
They have.
it has not been raining,
Uh-huh.
and the recycling got picked up with trash. Two Fridays in a row, and it happens quite frequently.
This is my least favorite thing to hear about because it does happen. And when it does, what we really want you to do is tell us, because 311 doesn't have a category for that. They don't really know what to do with that. They usually just tell us like, oh, it was a missed pickup or something like that.
Call us.
Yeah, but if you contact the recycling office, we will talk to the supervisor and we'll see why that happened. And it's especially helpful if you have like the date, the time, the block, the truck number, perhaps, if you were able to see it. It's a 6-digit blue number on the back of it. If you can take a picture, if you happen to see it, they love that, because then the supervisors can say, it's not a he said, she said, it's, oh, I saw this.
And
Like,
this be
it's
added to the 311 category, would that be really hard for the city to do?
I do not work for 311.
I know.
So I just don't know.
I know.
Like, I'm not involved in 311, but I prefer taking these because then I know what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I will say, like, our office wants to know those things, because if it goes to 311, we never hear about it.
Right.
And if it goes to us, then we know, and we know like, oh, we can track it and say, is it happening in this neighborhood more? Like things like
And
that.
if you ever forget to contact any of these kind folks, you can always contact the Fishtown Neighbors Association, and then we will direct it to who needs to get it.
Certainly.
When you say contact us when that happens, who is street department?
Recycling office.
Recycling
So, we are, our email address is here, recyclingoffice@phila.gov. And then we also have a phone number, 215-686-5444. But email is usually best for those sorts of things, because that's where you can list out all the relevant information, include a photo if you have it, and then, we will just forward that to the supervisor. Yeah, this, the list of locations at the bottom of your recycling guide, if you have one, and I have more up here. And there's more on the sweep table back there, but, those are the sanitation convenience centers. Those are where you can bring all those extra materials, fluorescent light bulbs, e-waste, white goods, microwaves, everything. Yes, you can bring, dry paint, like you can bring empty paint, but then our hazardous waste events, you can bring paint. Yeah. Any other questions about recycling bins?
So when we had, oh, I'm sorry.
There's 3 hands, but I'll go for you.
When we had our, clean and green and recycling meeting in the first instance, some people did say that they saw the trucks picking up the recycling and then another truck would pick up the, regular trash. And I think before the 2 trucks looked different, but now I think the trucks
They look identical.
look identical. So
Yeah.
some people were thinking that it was, you know what I mean? Like,
That does happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they are the same trucks, like
Right.
your trash truck might be on
Yeah.
a recycling route the next day.
right.
So you, like, when you say trash truck is picking up recycling, in my head, that's always you see them take trash, you see them take recycling. The only time we want the trash trucks taking recycling is if they bagged the recycling, because it's going to get trashed anyway. So that's the only time, or if it's like filled with food, or if it's got 3 bags of dog poop on top, like the trash crew knows to look for things like that, and they're going to take recycling if it is like extremely soiled or bagged. But otherwise, yeah, the trucks are identical, the crews are identical, they're, you know, they might just, the trash crew might work a recycling route and, you know, vice versa. What's your question?
With like stickers on the stuff, like advertisement type things, or like aluminum cans that have like the plot, or I think it's paper. Do you have to like cut those off?
You don't, and it's fine, especially even with water bottles, like the wrap that has the label, you can leave that. Yeah, it's acceptable contamination.
Okay, but ideally it would.
In a perfect world, yeah, yeah. And what was the, yes?
If you're a tenant in an apartment building that is not doing recycling, I suspect that might be a larger issue with.
Yeah.
New buildings. I know my building doesn't do recycling. What could someone do to get their building?
So your building is in violation of sanitation code and Philadelphia code, so they are breaking the law. Buildings are required to recycle. If they're 6 or under units, they can get city, okay. If they're larger than 6, okay. Then they have to have a private contractor. They're supposed to contract their hauler to pick up recycling as well, but most of them just don't because it's cheaper. We are trying to hold them accountable by sending sweep officers to do like site visits. It's varying levels of success based on, if they never answer sweep's calls, if they don't let sweep in the building, if they just don't respond to sweep, or like they lie and say that they did, which has happened. And so it's good to report it to either 311, to us, to whomever, just so that it can be at least begun to be treated. When I get those reports, I will try to contact the management company. I will tell them that they are doing something illegal. I will send it to sweep. I will ask sweep to investigate as well. And I have had success and I have had not success. So it depends on the building, but I would really like to see a world where we can hold them accountable more easily, because, you know, if you have 100 residents in a building and you're just not letting them recycle, you shouldn't, it's 2025, maybe. Yeah.
Right. Interesting.
You mentioned sweep. What is sweep?
Sweep is our boots on the ground. We have a sweep officer over here. They are enforcing sweeps regulations and sanitation code every day. So, and they're also doing a lot of community outreach. So sweep is really valuable because they have a lot of different jobs and they're extremely busy. But is it sidewalks, walkways, education enforcement program. Yeah, so I've seen the sweep handbook, it is about this thick, so they know a lot of things and they are doing a lot of things, but it's, they're the ones who are knocking on a business and telling them, you're not recycling, you put your recycling out too early, you put your trash out too early. They're the ones issuing those violations for those buildings that are, like putting their trash out 5 days early and just leaving it there. And they're the ones who are providing education to residents at community meetings.
And I used to, on a smaller scale of recycling, batteries. The Geek Squad at Best Buy and Staples has started this, Staples put out 6 months ago a list of things those else they can recycle, including, and, but, the Geek Squad will take down, the family, I'm the drop off the family, like, here, I got batteries for you. So I'll just put them in a bag, and then I get so many, I'll put them in the car. 9 times out of 10, you're always passing by a Best Buy, and I just go in, I go to the Geek Squad, and I get, here you go, recycle, and then I'm out of there. It's like, in and out really quick. I've been doing that for over 10 years now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's used, some private businesses, Best Buy, Staples, I think, they will have collections for things like batteries and, like ShopRite, Acme, they'll do plastic bags if you keep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which is good to know, because there's too many of those. Yeah.
We will make sure that is mentioned on social media, do not recycle.
Plastic bags are not recyclable. Yeah. Any other questions? And I will leave these somewhere, perhaps.
Yes.
People who want them.
I'll take and then the extras I'll pass out with our postcards.
Thank you.
I'll pump it, it was props. I didn't do recycling things so far.
Well, actually, yeah, a lot of these are.
No. We have one last person.
Yeah, hey guys, tell us about the new mural in the neighborhood.
Hello, people of Zoom, and good evening, Fishtown Neighbors Association.
We have one last presenter.
I'm gonna go quick. Speaking of,
Is this it?
my name is Alaina Foster, and I'm a project manager at Mural, Philadelphia, in the Art Education Department. I will now read from my flyer as to show you how prepared I am. In summer 2024, our teaching artist, painter, and mural arts art education lead teaching artist, Nazir Sabri, and participants in our Career Connected Learning Program, C2L, embarked on a journey to create a mural following the theme of safer, cleaner, greener. Inspired by Mary Sherelle Parker, One Philly United Cities for Green Initiative. Engaging in conversations about what life is like as a young person living in Philly and what they envision for a safer, greener city resulted in the creation of SAFA, which is a mural that combines Nazir Sabri's false face approach to portraiture combined with student selected imagery. So they all brainstormed themes, settled on the theme of safer. The students then created a collection of images, which if you are able to grab a flyer on your way out, you can see it focuses on different aspects of beauty, calling for gun reform, reflecting on the opioid crisis that is also occurring in our city and kind of is all managed and brought together in this beautiful portrait by one of the students that actually participated in the program. This mural is located at 1129 Lee Street, which I know we have issues with because of the McDonald's. I'm sorry.
I live on that street and I was extremely happy to learn about the mural, so I don't care about anybody else's opinion.
So it's you're driving through the drive-through, there is a beautiful wall given to us by the wall owner, shout out to Forrest Pippen. And they've actually started installation today. So if you drive by, grab yourself a chicken, you can see the very first bottom row of the mural. This mural dedication will be held on April 30th, time to be determined, but I will be sure to return with invitations so that you all can attend.
Thank you.
I have my contact information on this flyer as well. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, do not hesitate to reach out to me. I'm very approachable, as you can tell. That is why my hair is blue and this personality is lovely. That ends my spiel. Questions, comments, concerns?
Is this the same artist as the one on Palmer?
Yes.
Mhm.
So his Monet piece is kind of like I want to say the beginning portion of all of that. That was the project that was done through Adult Swim. And I will also flag that Nazir recently had a piece acquired by the PMA. So we're getting a beautiful public piece of art from a Philly native, celebrate the tenacity of youth and youth culture.
I'm excited.
I'm excited. All right. Good night.
Okay.
Real quick, if anybody still has the needs assessment, I didn't get a chance to collect it, or you haven't had a chance to fill one out.
No, you got an extra one?
Yeah. I can- And those of you who are maybe interested in our community advisory board, if you live in the first district, please see Jen Romano is gonna raise her hand.
Okay, we're gonna send all this information
Looking for folks.
to everyone.
And thank you again.
Thanks.
Do you have a question?
If anybody from